great start yesterday. John Crompton and our other guests, Joellen Darcy with Shackroft, and a tremendous opportunity for us to understand how to apply the kind of opportunities in the great outdoors to some of society's biggest needs in terms of health, the economy, and more. And today we're going to be delving into that, and I think we're going to have lots more information for you when you break into your action teams on Tuesday to think about so we can come up with some good concrete suggestions. I'm particularly delighted this morning that we have two guests with us who are especially relevant to our discussions, and we'll call them up one at a time. But first of all, we would like to welcome, and I'm sure he's going to welcome us back, the mayor of Grapevine, Texas. Bill Tate has been mayor for, I think it's 34 of the last 36 years. He's been around here for a long time. He was the city mayor on the city council, but he has been a dynamic force and is totally committed to the community. He's raised 5 daughters, each of whom has become an educator, and are any of them working here in Grapevine? Well, great. Well, I'd like to ask you to give a warm welcome to the mayor of Grapevine, Texas, Mayor William D Tate.
Thank you very much. Well, my speech consists of just some notes that the staff give me, and so I appreciate the opportunity to be here this morning and to be a part of your meeting, and to welcome you on behalf of the 50,000 warm, wonderful people that live in our community and 125,000 that work in our community to the Gaylord Texan and to the city of Grapevine. As you've probably seen, we have no majestic mountains. We don't have no surf from seagulls lapping at our shores. What we have is some flat land, good for agriculture, good for building airports and soccer fields. Our community has and probably always will be defined by the prairie, but it's given us an interesting heritage. It was here that Sam Houston negotiated the peace treaty with the Native Americans. It was here the first covered wagons rolled into North Texas to settle on that blackland prairie, some of the most fertile land in the world, as rich as the Mississippi Delta land. It was here that the wagon trains came. Some of them moved on, some of them settled here. They talked about the land and how rich the soil was and how much wildlife was here. They talked about herds of horses, maybe 500 in a group. And they talked about seeing herds of deer with just as many. And when I grew up here, there wasn't a deer in 200 miles or a wild turkey. There were no beavers. I never saw an eagle. But in the beginning, there was fertile soil and there was a lot of wildlife. Since then, we have survived as the oldest community in Tarrant County. We became a railroad community in 1880 when the railroad came through. We were an agricultural center for many years. When they built Grapevine Lake, we became a recreation center. There weren't that many lakes in North Texas. We had some 6 million people a year come to Grapevine Lake. It's still some 2 million a year. When they built DFW Airport, we became a transportation city. And when they built Bass Pro and Grapevine Mills Mall, we became a retail center. And with the Gaylord Texan and the Great Wolf Lodge and all the wonderful hotels, we've become a hospitality center. We know that we're in the hospitality and recreation business in the city of Grapevine. And we tried to not become the fastest growing city or the largest city, because we could do neither of those. We tried to put together some unique things, preserve our quality of life and our heritage and our outdoors, and at the same time bring in some really unique venues like Bass Pro and the Gaylord Texan and the Great Wolf Lodge. And so as you tour our city today, I hope you see what we've been able to do over the last 2 or 3 decades by being deliberate, not taking everything that came. We didn't pursue the theme park or the singing cowboy or the Choco casinos. We had an opportunity for a lot of things. But we had a vision, we knew what we wanted, and we tried to build a city that we can all be proud of. Things don't happen without partnerships, as you can tell. That's a big part of what you are. And I've come to believe that nothing happens without partners. We would not have been able to attract Bass Pro if we had not been willing to be a partner with them. We would not have attracted the Gaylord Texan or the Great Wolf Lodge if we had not been willing to be partners and invest with them. The same goes on with the Great Mills Mall and the other things that we have. And we're all very proud of these things. At the same time, we're the home to the Texas Wine and Grape Growers Association. We have a lot of tasting rooms. We've tried to develop and promote the Texas wine industry. We have the Grapevine transfer train, the old train that was part of Petticoat Junction on TV, as a part of our community now, our downtown area, one of the few main streets in the United States that survived the coming of Walmart. And we've been able to preserve that and attract a lot of people on the weekends to shop and to enjoy the coffee houses and the parks and the statues and enjoy mid-America, the safety and the low-key lifestyle of what has always been a part of America. I've asked to talk a little bit about some of the partnerships. My father was mayor when they built Grapevine Lake. It was designed or intended to be built before World War II, but the war stopped it. And so it didn't start till about 1948. We went out to the lake every Sunday and watched the building of the dam. The little farms that were in the river bottom disappeared. They took the gravel and sold it. They took a lot of the sand and sold it, and they took a lot of the material and built the dam. It was about a 3 or 4 year process, and we watched that every Sunday. And Denton Creek was the tributary that runs into the Trinity, which was the basis for Grapevine Lake. And I can remember when I was a little boy, my parents were merchants. We had a grocery store, and my grandfather was still alive. And when I would go walk to the store for somebody to take me to school, we had a big sink in the back of the store. And on a lot of mornings in the spring, it'd be full of catfish that my grandfather had caught and didn't. And I never will forget how that made me fall in love with fishing and wanted to be like my grandfather. And my father would take me fishing. We'd get up before daylight and go run some trot lines at Denton Creek. And before the lake was finished, since my father was mayor, I got to release the first fish in Grapevine Lake. The Texas Park and Wildlife had a hatchery in Lake Worth, and they raised a lot of black bass that they released in Grapevine Lake. And they did it before the lake was a lake. They put these fish in Denton Creek. And I often wondered why they didn't just flow on down the river and get lost in the Trinity. When the lake was completed, they closed it for 2 years, and when we started fishing, we could catch those 2-pound black bass. And the Texas Park and Wildlife has done a wonderful job in fishing and in preserving the wildlife of this state. Johnny Morris, Bass Pro, has done a lot for the black bass program and for conservation programs throughout our community. We also wanted to build a golf course. We tried to build one with a private country club setting and wasn't able to finance it. Grapevine Lake was designated as a bird sanctuary. You couldn't build a golf course in a bird sanctuary. But we had a lot of land at Grapevine Lake, and we went to Congress Congress and got the designation changed from a bird sanctuary to park and recreation. Allowed us to build the Grapevine Golf Course, which is one of the top 50 municipal courses in the country, and then later the Dallas Cowboy Golf Course. The Corps and the city have had great partnerships. They started closing some of their parks. I was talking about this morning, I kind of resented that at first because the federal government spent all this money, federal laws apply on Grapevine Lake. They invited all these people to come, and then they ran out of federal money and wanted the city to start taking over parkland in addition to the golf course. It didn't seem to be fair. It didn't seem to be our responsibility. But it's turned out to be a really good partnership because we have a lot of parkland in the city of Grapevine. It is very economical cost. We wouldn't have been able to pad near the park and recreation land without it. And we enjoy being a part of the Corps and working those partnerships together to our benefit. And one of the most amazing things about that is that when the settlers came, they settled not in the blackland prairie because they couldn't break it with a plow, with a wooden plow. They settled around where Grapevine Lake is now in the sandy soils where they could farm it. And the sandy soils played out pretty quick without any fertilizer. But with this land that's laid out around Grapevine Lake for 25 years, a lot of this land has been fallow. They closed a lot of parks. We took over some, but they closed a lot. And you know what happened? That land fertilized itself by land fallow and became fertile again. And the deer and the wildlife started drifting back in. We have some of the biggest deer around Grapevine Lake in the United States. And I don't know what they're eating, but we need to find out. But it's the result of conservation. They killed two of the biggest bucks in the country here, one legally and one illegal. I've never had seen a deer. I've lived my entire life. It was this last year that I saw my first deer. But there's hundreds of deer around Grapevine Lake as a result of that conservation and the restoring of the soil. Wild turkeys, beavers, all kinds of wildlife. So partnerships work. We have a lot of partnerships with the state. We have over 25 miles of walking trails. We have the Vineyard Campground, which you'll see one of the top 100 campgrounds in the United States. Partnerships builds futures and it builds communities. And we have been able to have the best of two worlds, to build a modern city and to be able to preserve our outdoors because we have a lot of drainage basins here where you can't build on. A lot of floodplain. We have DFW Airport with a lot of fallow land. We have Grapevine Corps project with a lot of fallow land. And together, we have really put a blend together that people love living in our community because you don't have that closed-in feeling that most suburban areas have. We've had a great staff. We've had people with vision, people who are willing to invest with others to do things together just like we do. So that's been my life and my history. And I hope you enjoy some of the works that we've been able to put together over the last 34 years. And I hope you enjoy your stay in our community and hope to see you back here real soon. Thank you very much.